So why is that Japan is achieving meteoric rise in their particular economy in their lives, and why is a center of attraction, it being a curiosity center for the entire world? Why is everybody talking about concepts, Japanese concepts of how to get success in life? Because try to understand this basic concept. What happens is that when you go ahead in life, and when you try to find out why anybody should be following you, whom do we follow in life? People who are successful, people who have achieved a certain level of success. We want to follow them and we want to benchmark them. So Japan in the last few years, I think it achieved its independence somewhere close to that, the same period, 1945 onwards. And look at the growth that India has achieved, and look at the growth that Japan has achieved. They have a different trajectory of growth altogether. And look at the sheer size of Japan. It's an island country containing of 7 to 10 islands over there, small, very, very small fragment, but it's shaking the world in terms of its growth. And definitely that calls for us to understand why they are doing what they're doing and how they are able to execute all of that. So if you look at Japan's sheer size, the problem was that it being very, very small a country does not have all the natural resources. If you look at India, we have raw material, we have iron ore, we have coal, you have uranium, we have so many natural, we have water, all those things are available for India and for most of the countries. But for Japan, it being an island country, there was a very big problem. They were not having a lot of things with them. So they were basically a military kind of a country who were raiding people and trying to get the resources either from China or from the nearby countries. And then something happened, which was World War 1942, World War II, 1942. And in the year 1945, we all know this history, and this is very, very common piece of knowledge which is available everywhere, that yes, Hiroshima and Nagasaki happened. 3 lakh people died in that particular one day of the catastrophe. 3 lakh people in one day. And for 1945, that was a very huge number. Just imagine, it was a very big blow to the entire economy, but still Japan came up and tried to show the world that it is possible. And in just a matter of 23 years, in just a matter of 23 years, it took only 23 years, because the entire explosion had devastated the entire economy, their savings, their job generation, everything. But something happened, and they were in the top 3 economies in the next 23 years. And that is a miracle that people wanted to find out. And maybe it is the reason why people are so very curious about Japan. And maybe it is why the book Ikigai was written, and it is kind of a, what to say, lighthouse for the other people in the world to find out simplistic ideas from Japan and implement in their lives. So in just 23 years, we find, after this 1945 catastrophe, we find companies like Sony, Canon, Nissan, and other brands of Japan. Honda is creating a name across the world, is creating a brand across the world. And if you look at Japan as a total of population, it has very less resources, as we already talked about. Because it is closely associated with the sea over there, we have constant cyclones and constant catastrophes. We have constant earthquakes which are coming. So it's a country which is always under turmoil. It's always under reflects a particular motion. It's always under motion, and with very less amount of population. How can it become the top third economy of the world, right? So there's definitely some concepts which are worth emulating, worth understanding. And this is what happened, when 1945 things got really bad for Japan. Everybody had written them off, that it's not possible for Japan to come up again in the world economy. And then something really wonderful happened. By the 1980s, people in America were not buying General Motor cars, or they were not buying these cars which were manufactured in United States. In fact, they were buying Innova, Toyota, and they were surprised. The entire American economy was surprised of why this is happening. Because the Japanese cars were selling like hotcakes in the entire of America, and they try to find out what is the Japanese culture all about. If you look at the Japanese culture, they found out they sent a particular person to do a research on the Japanese culture, and they found out that the concepts over there, the concept of a family, a joint family. If you go and look at employment which happens in Japan, they have long-term employment. They involve all the members of the company in all the decisions. They were taking individual responsibility. As some time back, some of you were talking about that people take individual responsibility. They feel that it is their company. It's not the management's company. They feel it's my company, my home, and that is how they work over there. That is why the results were coming in that great number. They have slow evaluation and promotion. So promotion in the Western countries, in the USA based countries, were happening year on year, but in Japan, they are for the slow progress. Okay, as I think Rohit was talking about, that they stay, take it slow. Do not go for a lot of activity. Just go slow, and things will happen in your own stride. They have informal control with more formal measurements. These were some of the major things which happened. The theory Z model, it was given by William G. Auchi, of how American businesses can meet the Japanese challenge, because Japan had become a very big challenge for people. Now, if you look at the entire Japanese culture, they have the concept of sapno yoshi, a very important concept, that they are not just building product for the sake of building it, for the sake of actually earning money from it, profiteering from it. No, they want to create products which are good for the seller. The seller is getting some benefit out of it. It's good for the buyer, and apart from that, it's good for the society. Now, these are tenets. Very recently, the concept of 3 Ps: people, profit, and planet has come into it. Otherwise, earlier, most of the capitalistic countries were focusing on only two things, which was people and profit. They were not focusing on the planet. But I think Japan was always there for these kind of things, which small things, but very effective things, which are standing for the society also. You just cannot create something only for the buyer and seller. You also have to keep the society, because society also gets affected in the entire channel. Now, these were some of the concepts that we wanted all of you to go home with. Kaizen, a very important concept. It's just getting better than yesterday. So whatever happened in your company, in your life yesterday, is past right now, and you have to get better. If that is the life purpose, and that is the mantra at all the Japanese companies, that's the mantra at all the in most of the Japanese people lives, because they just want to keep on getting better. Their mobiles, their cameras, their technology, it just has to keep on getting better. Because if you stop somewhere, that means death. And somewhere it relates to the 1% growth rule that we have at MMDC, but it's borrowed from Kaizen once again. The second concept that they were very much focused. Why did Japan become such a hit? Because they focused on this concept of Six Sigma, a very, very important concept in their manufacturing concerns, where they said out of 10 lakh particular pieces that they will manufacture, there can be only 3 or 4 maximum errors that they will be making. So even a 9.99999 would be equal to 0 out of 10. If you score 9.9, that is out of 10, that is still a 0 for Japan. That is the kind of concern for improvement, concern for getting things done right. Error-free production was a concept in Japan, and that is why this Innova cars were selling a lot in US back then in the 1980s. Because if you buy a GM car, Chevrolet, it would break down on the road and create a lot of problems for the buyer. But Innova car had come with the Six Sigma particular technology. Toyota was the master of this. They wanted to create such products. They wanted to be personally responsible, that their company employees would not create anything inferior. Out of, just imagine this number, out of 10 lakh, imagine a doctor. Will you call a doctor who has completed 100 operations and has killed only 2 people? Will you consider him good? But on the other hand, if you look at this particular concept, out of 10 lakh operations, if you're making 1 or 2 errors, that is still okay. So that's a very fundamental concept which most of the companies applied in Japan, and that was the reason for success. And there's a concept of keretsu, where they talk about not just it takes a village, an entire companion of companies to succeed. A Toyota cannot succeed on itself. So what Japan used to do, that if there is a Toyota which is shining, and it's exporting a lot of cars to other parts of the country, what Japan did is to give that infrastructure and give that particular environment of other companies who will be supporting Innova, Toyota. That started happening, and because of that, I think they achieved a massive amount of success in their country and economic life also. Now comes the concept of Ikigai. I think most of you have recently done justice to this topic by talking about it, but this Venn diagram makes it very, very clear. I should be focusing on something which is very, very close to my heart. I should be very passionate about it. The second thing, that is the basic thing is, there are the four things to best understand it. It's basically, what is that you love? Whatever you love, you'll give your 100%. Then work will not feel like work. And then you have to find out what the world needs. So if you love maybe painting, but the world is not looking for good paintings, it's not willing to, it's not requirement of theirs, then that is not a right ikigai for you. So you have to keep on, as Kavita was talking about, you have to keep on finding it. You have to keep on churning inside. You have to keep on introspecting, going inside of you and finding what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for. So maybe I love painting, but the world is not willing to pay me. Then again, that will not help you wake up early in the morning tomorrow and start painting once again. That will again be a problem. So it's a combination of all these things. And when you have found your right ikigai, that makes life really easy. That makes the life go very easy, and it helps you achieve your goals and dreams really fast. And that is why I think ikigai is also one of the concepts which helps people stay for a very long time. In their stay active for the very long time. If you look at the Japanese lifestyle, they always have a preference for green tea, right? So they will be in circles, you'll find them, and they'll be sipping their green tea, which is kind of full of antioxidants. These are some small hacks that they're doing. It's clearly visible that they're doing this, and it has a long-term impact on their health. Some of you talked about smaller plates that eat only three-fourth, don't it should be 80%. Don't eat 100%, because if you're having 100% food in your stomach, then you'll be wanting to maybe take rest and not do work. So they have been using the small hacks for a very long time. If you look at the Japanese work life, they majorly go to their offices not on cars, or they use the public transport. They walk a lot, they bicycle a lot. 98% is the number of students who go to the schools either by bus or by walking. That is the number. So they actually want to take a lot of steps, small steps also on a daily basis, but that is helping them improve their health. Because if the health is good, then maybe we can build upon the other activities in life. The second thing, the very important thing, that is the concept of nature soaking. They have a concept of ikebana, where they create beautiful vases in their particular home, uh, and nature friendly vases. But they also go for appreciation, thankfulness, and meditation. When you go inside into the nature and you soak yourself with a lot of greenery, that also helps your mind to come at peace. So we're talking about emotions, we're talking about a balanced life. These things can bring your life back. Now, also very important, if you look at the concept of Japanese culture, is the concept of friends and groups. Because if you are in a friendship club or a group, you'll find that they sip their tea together. Even the people of Okinawa, which Manbendra sir was talking about, they live up to the age of 101. It's because they are in groups. They want to interact, they want to talk to each other, and that is how they. And what happens when you're in a group, your endorphin levels, your happy chemicals, DOSC, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, these happy chemicals go up, and your cortisol, your stress hormone goes down when you are in a group, when you are able to share things with others. So these are some concepts which are there in this book. Okinawa, I think Okinawa is one of the places which is a very, very important place for all of us to go and maybe find out what happens over there. But the book Ikigai helps us understand it. And I think Japan is a benchmark in terms of learning these concepts and maybe implementing it. If India can, if we can do it, I think it will be a great service to the entire of humanity, for India and for us also, if we can achieve our goals just like the way Japanese do. So that's all from